grateful people are usually good people, and ungrateful people, ingrates we call them, tend to be bad people. I really hate to say that too. I try to not be black and white so much in my coaching videos, but it really is true that, and you'll find this even in your own social circle, whether it be friends of yours, especially with women you've dated. You'll notice this, right? You'll notice the women that you've dated that were grateful were usually pretty good girlfriends, weren't they? They were pretty cool. They were always thankful, and they always showed gratitude towards you for things you did for them, right? You might have done some favors for them, or maybe you just took them to a simple dinner or something, and or a movie, and like, oh my gosh, thank you, honey, but that was so great. You're so wonderful. They're very grateful. Whereas you think of the chicks you dated that were just entitled and expected you to do things, and you might have taken them out. They never said thank you, held the door open, just sat right down and never showed any gratitude whatsoever. Those were usually, probably some bad experiences for you, right? Some terrible people. This really goes for everybody, right? Not just girlfriends. I just use them as a quick example, right? But you will find this to be true, that people who are grateful, people who are thankful, tend to be decent people, right? Doesn't mean they're perfect or they're these angels or anything like that by any means. It just means that they're at a good starting point, right? That they're going to be at least fair-minded whenever it comes to any type of negotiations with you or any type of dealings you have with them. There's probably not going to be a whole lot of conflict because they're going to try to find some middle ground with you, just because they're good people, right? They're not going to be like people who are ingrates, who are constantly making everything about themselves, selfish, entitled, always expecting more and more. And that's the thing about people who are ungrateful, is they always expect more and more, right? It's like you can give them the world and they'll still want more and more, and they'll never really even be thankful about it, right? And some will never even say that. They'll never even say thank you for the things you do for them. Right? It's just common courtesy. It really shows a lack of character too. And that's one thing I've seen about people who tend to be ungrateful of things, just not thankful, right? It's just, there's a lack of character there. There's just a lack of decency, a lack of humility, right? People who are ingrates tend to be very arrogant also, because they feel like, obviously that's what makes them ingrates. They feel like, hey, you should give me this, right? I deserve this. Why? Because I'm me. Well, that's not a really good reason, right? You could be you, but you could still be a terrible person. Says who? What about you? What about you? Huh? And then they start doing all that. Those are usually people who are just kind of ingrates, right? I've always said, like, people who are happy are usually people who have that humility, who can laugh at themselves, right? Who can kind of like poke fun at themselves, and generally those people too tend to be less arrogant and very, very, very thankful, right? Just for the fact that they're still here, they're still alive. I mean, even when I didn't have barely a dime to my name anymore, right? I lost all my money in corporate America trying to start my business. I was going broke. I mean, I went broke twice in the 2000s, right? In this century alone, I went broke twice. It's not going to happen again, by the way, for everybody, like all my haters. Like, I hope he goes broke again. Won't happen again, because now I've like mastered the skill of like making money. But and I've come back so many times, it's really impossible to fail at this point, just because I just kept pushing forward, and that will happen too. You just keep getting back up and trying again. You'll get better and better and better. You'll become a master at whatever that skill is, like whether it's pickup or business. I've mastered those too, right? The very valuable life skills. But regardless, when I was broke and had nothing, and I was scraping around for change to just buy a McDonald's cheeseburger in my Jeep, I remember, like, I wasn't crying. I wasn't like, my heart wasn't racing. I wasn't stressed or paranoid. For a moment, I just kind of laughed at myself, because I was like, this is so pathetic. I literally said that to myself. I'm like, this is so freaking pathetic, dude. I'm like looking for change to buy a freaking cheeseburger at McDonald's. This is sad and pathetic. But I said it exactly like that. I had a smile on my face, like, because there was nothing else I could do at that point except laugh at myself. And I did that. And you know what? I felt better about myself, right? But even at that moment, you know what? I was grateful. I was like, I found the change. I got the cheeseburger, and I was grateful for the fact that I'm like, okay, cool. Now I get to eat this cheeseburger. And I had my Doberman. I had a Doberman at that time. It was before Cash and Gizmo. Yes, that's Cash snoring over there, by the way. Yeah, I had my Doberman time, and you know what? I had my health. I'm like, I'm happy. I'm grateful, right? I mean, even just the fact that I'm like, I have 2 arms, 2 legs, 2 eyeballs. I don't have any major health issues. I really don't have any health issues. I mean, I'm happy, right? I'm like, I'm grateful. I'm thankful, right? I think Stallone said, he said, as long as you got 2 hands, 2 feet, you got a shot at anything, right? I believe he said that in Rocky 5. But it's true. So when I see people crying about the fact, like, oh, I'm so oppressed. You live in like the richest, most capitalistic country, most freest country in the world, even though we're not so free right now. You live in the best country in the world where you could be anything in life. You could become anything. You could get as rich as you want. You could make millions if you want. If you apply yourself, you know, you could learn a skill. You can become a master at something. You could be bigger than you ever thought you were. I mean, you're living in a time where we have technological advances that we've never seen before. We're living in a time where we're all connected. I mean, to sit there and still claim that you're oppressed and some invisible boogeyman is holding you back, you're just an ingrate, right? You're just a loser. And you're always going to be a loser, right? Until you fix that. And really, you know where you start fixing that? You start being grateful for the fact that A, you have your health, right? You're not in a wheelchair or anything like that. And even if you are in a wheelchair, hey, you're still breathing, you're still alive, you're still here, right? Tomorrow's a new day. Today's a new day, right? You notice like there's just this positivity, right? This positive attitude that comes with people who are grateful. They're always happy. They're always positive. They're bringing joy to others. They want to add value to others. They don't want to rip up people off. They don't want to take advantage of other people. They want to have win-win scenarios. You know, I try to create that with people in my life. I try to have like win-win. And this is why it's hard for me to make friends these days because, and I really do. I feel like my social circle, as much as it's gotten bigger, it's also shrunk because of the amount of people I will allow like into my life, like for friendship and personal friendships, just because I'm tired of having those relationships where it's take, where all the other person does is take and not really give, or I'm giving like 80% of the value and they give me like 20%, right? Like, you know, like some of my friends that I've had that I stopped talking to, right? Where it'll be like 80% of the time I'm giving them advice, I'm talking to them, I'm trying to help them out, or even 90% of the time it's like me giving value, making time to talk to them, and then like 10% of the time or less they'll be like, so what happened with you, what's going on with you? And I'll be like, oh yeah, this thing with my one of my siblings, or this thing with my girlfriend right now, or I'll start to go into something and they'll be like, okay, oh yeah, so this thing about me, and then they'll like bring it right back to them, and it's like, okay, I can't have relationships like that, right? We have to have some balance here, right? I mean, I don't date chicks like that either, by the way. A lot of chicks are like that, where there's this huge imbalance in the relationship where it's all about them, right? And it's like, do you even want to get to know the person that you're like sleeping in the same bed with? You want to get to know the person that you're calling your boyfriend here? I mean, it's mind-blowing to me that like some girls, like I see dating guys and I'm like, hey man, what's his oh, he likes cars too. I'm like, oh, what's his favorite car? I'm like, you've been dating this guy 5 years, you don't know what his favorite car is, don't know what his favorite movie is, don't know what his favorite band is. You should know these things like by the time you get on the first date. Give me a break. The only way you're not going to know these things if you constantly talk about you and never ask him anything. So I notice that, like, and you'll notice that too when it comes to people who are grateful and people who are just thankful to be here, right? They will always be people who are happy. They're not going to be out there like judging other people or trolling other people online or offline. They're not going to be out there like these predatory jackals, like, you know, making fun of other people or mocking. They're just not. They just don't want to do that because they themselves are just, again, they're grateful, right? Because grateful people are good people, right? Ungrateful people tend to be bad people, right? It's very hard to find a person who's ungrateful who's a happy person, right? You're just not gonna find that, right? You're not gonna find that. It's just, you know, you're just not. It's gonna be very hard to find somebody who's ungrateful who is also like a great friend. You're not, because that's the whole reason that they're ungrateful, is because they're unhappy with themselves. They're unhappy with their own lives. Thus, they are not going to be able to spread any happiness or joy your way, right? And Robert Greene had a great, I actually did a coaching video on this. He had a great passage in his book, 48 Laws of Power, that said, avoid the unlucky, the unhappy, and the unfortunate. Right? I mean, that speaks volumes. Speaks volumes. I remember when I first read that book, it was in the late 90s. And I remember that stuck in my head because I was like, man, I have a whole lot of people like this in my life right now, right? And then, you know what I also did besides cleaning house? I looked in the mirror and I went, hey, am I like that too? Am I doing that to people? Am I being ungrateful? Am I trying to push my weight around? Am I expecting people to like do for me and I don't do anything for them? Am I that way? Because if I'm that way, that's why I'm attracting these people. And you know what? It turned out I was a little bit that way. And I had to fix that, right? So you have to have a level of self-awareness too. Like, you can't have self-awareness unless you have a level of mental maturity, right? You have to gain a level of maturity where you get over yourself, you get over your own arrogance, you get over your own ego and this constant need to protect your ego. And you allow a little bit of meekness to enter. You allow a little bit of humbleness to enter and go, okay, yeah, these are the things I suck at. It's okay that I suck at them. These are the things that I can improve that will make me a better person and just make me be the change that I want to see out in the world. I mean, I always say that. Be the change you want to see out in the world. That's why I can't stand a lot of people on the left, because they preach so many good ideas, but they don't live by them. They preach tolerance, but they ain't tolerant to people who don't agree with them. They preach anti-fascism, but everything they do is fascist, right? They preach anti-racism, but a whole lot of things they do are pretty racist, right? Segregating people and labeling people and separating people based on their skin color, right? That's why I can't get on board with that. And no surprise, a lot of people on the left do tend to be ungrateful, don't they? Right? It's like they're never thankful. They hate the country they live in. They're not thankful they're here. They're not thankful they're not living in like they're not thankful that they're not living in North Korea or some other communist country like Venezuela or something where they're stuck over there. They're not thankful about that. Or the fact that we just have all these technological advances and whatnot. They're not thankful, are they? So, you'll find that, right? You'll find that grateful people are usually good people, decent people, and ungrateful people tend to be toxic people, unhappy people, entitled people, people who are self-obsessed, people who are not very giving, not very generous, people who make everything about themselves. People are very selfish, right? And it doesn't matter how much you give them, they're always going to want more. When it comes to somebody who's ungrateful, it doesn't matter how many favors you do for them, how much money you give them, you bend over backwards for them, it will never be enough. They'll always want more, right? But when it comes to people who are grateful, you notice you could do the very smallest thing for them, right? You can give them like a free bottled water or something. They'll be so thankful. They'll be like, oh man, thanks, bro. Thanks. You didn't have to give me this. Cool. Right? They just tend to be better people. But as always, guys, drop your comments below. Let me know what you think of tonight's coaching video. Anything you'd like to add, anything you'd like to share, please drop them in the comments below. If you guys love my work, if it's helping you become a better man, to achieve more, to grow, to become more enlightened, to become more red pill. If it's helping you out, the best way to support my work is by essentially becoming a premium subscriber of my premium Alpha Male Secrets channel, which I'm hosting on a private platform. Right now it's only $1 for the entire first month of premium Alpha Male Secrets content from me. So take advantage of it. All you need to do is click the link below in my description box. It will take you over to my website where you can get signed up right now. It just takes 2 seconds, so do that now, and I'll see you in my next coaching video. I'm out.